It was a beautiful late spring day, much like the one we just experienced. The sun was shining, a light breeze was blowing, and the children were playing on the playground up over the hill. You could hear the noise of children laughing, and there was birds tweeting. But this playground, even though it was the 90s, was a classic 1960s playground. If you have any idea what I'm talking about. The swing set has the chain swings that hang on, and the seats are wooden. And the goal of every child is to see if you can swing up higher than the top of the swing set and come back down. And once you reach that height, you jump off and see how far you can fly onto the hard, packed dirt that may have 20 years ago had some kind of mulch on it, but now the only thing that's at the top of it is the rocks that have seeped up through the dirt. If that's not exciting enough, there's the merry-go-round that you sit on and you hold on as tight as you can as your friends spin it as quickly as they can. And the goal is to hold on so that you're not the first one that flies off the merry-go-round into the hard, packed dirt. But the best part of this playground was the 30-foot-high sliding board, metal, steel, sitting in the sun all day. You touch it, you sizzle. It's one of those with the extra hump in the middle. It's been sitting on the top of this hill so long that the ground underneath has eroded, and the bottom of the slide is now about 4 feet off the ground. So when you go down the sliding board, you obviously are going to fly off the edge, and the way it was sitting, you also fly down the hill. This was a wonderful playground, and the kids were sent up there to play because the adults were playing softball. This was a women's church softball league. Somehow they convinced me that I could play. I always played left out as a kid when we played ball, but I was now the second baseman. The only reason I got second base is I could catch, and that's as far as I could throw, is if I'm at second base, I can do an underhand like to third base or to first base, and I was good. Well, it's about the second inning of the game, and we had started the game short a couple of players. The other team had 12 players show up. We only had 8 players show up to play, so we were almost at forfeit level. But we were playing, and I'm sorry, these women were intense. The winning of a softball game was more important than graduating from college or, anything you could think of. The results of this game was the most important thing in the world. Well, I am standing there out in the field, go pitcher, come on, put it in there, waiting for the batter to hit the ball to me so I wouldn't have to run. And all of a sudden I hear someone yelling, "Get that kid off the field, get that kid off the field." And I turn around, and of course, that kid is one of my kids. And that kid is coming down the hill into center field, kind of walking like this. And their siblings are coming along behind her, screaming, and as the closer they get, the noise is getting louder and louder and louder of the screaming. But more important, the noise of these grown women that are upset because this child is in the field is getting louder and louder. Well, I go out into the middle of center field to check on why these kids are coming through the middle of the field. My middle daughter has a knot on her head about 4 inches thick and is not really well understanding what's going on. She's a little bit weak in the knees and in the head, and it's like, oh my God, I have got to get her to a hospital right away. So my glove is still laying in the field, and I pick up my child, and I tell my other kids, come on. They're all screaming still, the children. The adults are screaming louder because I can't leave. Because if I leave, we will forfeit the freaking game. What do you mean I can't leave? My kid is hurt. I have to go. These women were as if we were at the apocalypse and the world was going to end if I left that game that day. Well, you know what? I don't give a hoot what they thought at that moment. My child was more important. So I gather my children as I'm being yelled at. Of course, the cars are parked a half a mile away from the field. So I'm gathering my children, and we're going in to get them in the car, and I get them all buckled in and start the car. The noise inside of my car, the level of screaming and yelling and chaos, just about overcomes the noise from the women screaming and yelling and the chaos as I drove away from that softball game. And I never played another game in that league. Sorry, ladies, it's not that important.